Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders had yet another debate last night. I know it seems like it keeps going and going. And this little exchange was pretty typical of the evening. This is Hillary pressing Bernie for answers and explanations, but not getting a whole lot of clarity.
If you're having Medicare for all, single payer, you need to level with people about what they will have at the end of the process you are proposing. And based on every analysis that I can find by people who are sympathetic to the goal, the numbers don't add up.
Please do not tell me that in this country, if, and here's the if, we have the courage to take on the drug companies and have the courage to take on the insurance companies and the medical equipment suppliers. If we do that, yes, we can guarantee health care to all people in a much more cost-effective way.
Andrew, I'm sorry, I just can't help thinking of Larry David every time I see him do that thing. But, and I was a glutton, I watched the whole thing last night, but I think she effectively, and one of the pundits had said, almost treated as a prosecutor. Almost disregard the question. I think it was Matthew Dowd who said this, and just make him do his math. I thought, listen, objectively, however you think about it, if somebody's saying I'm going to be able to get everybody to go to college for free and get everybody to have single-payer health care and all the rest, explain mathematically how that works and how possibly with the makeup of Washington the way it is, you'd throw out Obamacare and get a whole new health care proposal through. I guess my question to you is, the five of us know this stuff already. To the average viewer, does it start to sink through that it sounds good what he's saying, but could he really do it?
Well, I don't think to his true believers that's going to sink through. I think to the core of his base, no, she's not going to be able to reach that. But I thought both in the style, which was aggressive but not overly so, and also that she didn't feel the need to spike the football in this case. That she asked the questions and got answers that were less than specific, and is now letting the viewer sort of come to the conclusion that what he has is idealistic and aspirational, but there's really not a plan to get there or a viable path to get there. I think that connects with people, or I think there's the potential that it could, and you know, I think it really pokes some potential holes in what he's trying to do. I thought it was a very strong performance for Hillary last night.
Do you think, Scott, that she should really take the approach to say, okay, I'm going to states where they're not as white as Iowa and New Hampshire. Historically, and by polling, I should do very well here. It's a different electorate. If I just stay on message, if I don't, let Bill go off the reservation, or I don't have Madeleine Albright say the special places in hell for women who don't vote for me, I got to play the long game here. Or should she say, wait a minute, I just got smoked in New Hampshire. Nobody knows what's going on in this election cycle anymore. I can't take this measured approach. I better start swinging. If you gave her counsel, as bizarre as this election season's been, what would it be?
It would be that, pretty much. But speaking of poking holes, if you're standing to the right of Bernie, you could get really hurt. I mean, constantly.
Careful with that.
But she can't tack too far left. She's already
these are the poll numbers, by the way, guys, for the latest numbers that have come out for the next two states.
She can't tack further left than he.
No.
There's no way she can do that, and she's learned that, I think, although she's picked up a couple of his pointers. So she has to, and she used Obama. I'm for getting things done. I'm straight and narrow. I know I'm the practical person. And quite frankly, she's looking to the election, I think, now and saying, I'm the practical one. She's already kind of trying to run that message. And I think she was pretty effective for the parts I've seen in that message.
Yeah, I would say don't panic. I mean, your question is exactly right. I mean, do you change up suddenly, again, or do you stay the course? Don't panic, stay the course. She's gonna take Bernie Sanders down. Her liability was never as a debater. She's a very good debater. She's got some trust liabilities, some honesty liabilities if you look at the polling. But she's a very good debater. She's going to erode him as the primaries get bigger and bigger into larger states. In the back of any debate room anywhere in America, it could be for mayor, for dog catcher, for president, there's a crazy gadfly screaming, wagging, but you don't know. And it's Bernie Sanders. I mean, eventually he's not going to make it. I mean, he's having
the same
stuff
stuff about Trump for a while. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, Tom. In the end, will she get the black love that she needs for South Carolina? Will I start seeing her with a lot of Latino faces before Nevada rolls around?
Yes. the toughest part of the election schedule is now past Hillary Clinton. She is taking a tough, critical critique from the media, but now it will be, at least from the voters' point of view, for the most part, nothing but love. You saw the numbers as you put up, Richard, in South Carolina. What she did last night at that debate, she was basically talking to black folks in the state of South Carolina. I love Obama. Now, when she gets to the general election, she's going to put that distance in between him as she seeks more independent voters. But for right now, she is speaking directly to the black community. Nevada, the Latino community, South Carolina, the black community, things are now going to turn around for her. And just one last quick thing, Richard, in Bernie's favor, look at what he's doing to reach out to the African-American vote. The fact that he got the daughter of Eric Garner, his campaign released a campaign commercial focusing on the black community and police brutality with the daughter at the center of it.
The day after he broke bread at Silver's with Al Sharpton. Andrew, I've heard two different thoughts on this. A tough primary strengthens you for a general. If somebody said to her, listen, you're going to have, you're going to get less than 10% of the female vote under 40 in New Hampshire, and you're going to get smoked. But at least, you know, you'll win, but you'll be bruised in the process. Would she say, forget that? Give me the coronation and skip the, the adjutant? Or is this actually make her better for the general?
I think this does make her better for the general, and I think before this process began, she would have signed on for a rougher first couple of weeks of the primary if two things. I get the nomination. Let's not forget, 8 years ago, I couldn't do that. So whatever gets me to that nomination, she doesn't have to go through. She doesn't have to go through Joe Biden. She doesn't have to go through Elizabeth Warren. She doesn't have to go through some of the other people who might have been in this race. And I think it will position her well for the general election.
I will say though, as I was watching it, Bill, and I saw, and I know we got to hit a break, there were so many opportunities where, and we're going to get into the Republicans in a minute, where Bernie he could have thrown a couple of cheap shots in there if he wanted to.
Yeah.
When she was, for example, if I was Bernie Sanders, I'd say, hey, let's talk about those speeches you gave to the Wall Street firms, right? Why did one guy say basically sounded like a director for Goldman Sachs? Yeah. That never came up. Now, I understand why. The Democrats don't like that. They don't want a circular firing squad in the primaries and stuff. But I didn't hear Benghazi. I didn't hear emails. I didn't hear any of that stuff.
A lot of people are asking why PBS didn't ask about those emails. And the reason they didn't ask is because they knew Bernie Sanders wouldn't make it an issue. He took it off the table at the first debate, and he shouldn't have done it. All right.
To the other side we go after this. Donald Trump has insulted about every group you can think of, Latinos, Jews, women, handicapped people, I could go on, but going after the Pope? Could this actually backfire him? Who knows? We'll talk about that more after this.